Hi, I'm Robin Jay, the queen of the business lunch, and today I want to talk to you about Keith Ferrazzi's books, Never Eat Alone and Who's Got Your Back. When Keith's book came out, it was just a few months before my book, The Art of the Business Lunch, came out. And so I was freaking out a little bit. All of my friends were calling me saying, have you heard about this new business book, Never Eat Alone? And so I pre-ordered it, was one of the first people to get it, and I read page by page looking for anything that might have sounded a little like The Art of the Business Lunch. Well, I was really surprised to see that Keith had not written anything really about taking clients to lunch except one story that said, where he said, when you travel, you should call your friends that live in that city and let them introduce them to each other, let them get to know each other, so that, say you're going to dinner in Houston and you know 3 or 4 or 6 different people in Houston, have them all join you for dinner, and now you've grandfathered them into a great relationship, because once you meet someone through an introduction, you take that relationship to a much higher level. So that was the only thing he said about it. Well, don't you know, I got the chance to meet him later. And of course, the first thing I asked him was, Keith, you called your book Never Eat Alone. It's not about eating. What are you doing? And he said, I just hate the word networking. And so it's funny, because Never Eat Alone is really about networking and going to luncheons and connecting your friends with other friends and your colleagues with other colleagues. So it was very interesting. He has probably one of the fattest contact lists ever. But it was interesting that a few years later he wrote a book called Who's Got Your Back? And in this book he talks about the solid relationships of when someone really is looking out for you. They notice if things aren't right. It's not just a casual networking relationship. It's more someone who would really go to the wall for you. So it was very interesting, and neither one of them, not for a side-by-side comparison, which I can do, holding them side by side, but Never Eat Alone and The Art of the Business Lunch are so different, because The Art of the Business Lunch really talks about taking your relationships to a much higher level by breaking bread with your clients. It's not the same level as Someone Who's Got Your Back, but it really does. It's the basis for building that kind of relationship. In fact, when I was filming my movie, The Keeper of the Keys, my director said, do you know anyone who has office space that we could use? Picked up the phone, dialed my friend Salvig at the firm Public Relations and Marketing, said, we need an office to film in. And she said, yeah, stop by, take a look at it. If it works, fine, it's all yours. And she even let us use her office. 3 of the scenes in my movie were filmed at her office. Very different scenes. And that was the kind of friend that you have when someone's got your back. And I've known Salvig since 1980 something. So anyway, she was there for me, and that's the kind of relationships that I was able to build that started out by sharing a business lunch. One of the other great things about Keith was when I published through the Speakers Bureau, when I published The Power of the Platform, there's his picture right there. He contributed a chapter to my wonderful anthology series. So we ended up establishing a relationship. But I will never forget that day when I asked him, what were you thinking when you named your book Never Eat Alone? I love that title. I would have loved to have named my book that. The bottom line is, you should never eat alone. Learn the art of the business lunch. Make sure that you take advantage of meal times. It's more than 500 times a year that you could break bread with a client or a friend, really take those relationships to a higher level, make a huge difference in your business, in your job satisfaction, and in your personal life, because you'll be interacting with other individuals on a much deeper level. And that's what business is all about. That's what life is all about. So take my advice. Never eat alone, study the art of the business lunch, and enjoy meal times like never before.